A few years ago in Dublin, Ireland, there was this brother, actually a friar, working in the city centre of Dublin, who would train there, gone on missions for them, and with the sole purpose of helping other people. And he spotted me in the queue one day, queuing up for food. And he brought me aside, and he would chat with me every time he seen me in the queue. And he always gave me something to reflect upon and contemplate. And on one particular day, during a discussion where we were just sitting, we had a few minutes of silence. And he turned around to me and said, "There is honour to be had in any work that you undertake, in all tasks, in all endeavours. Take it one day and one step further. No matter what you are doing, love it. Love what you are doing. And when you love what you are doing, your work will truly touch and change people's lives in ways that you might never see, but you don't need to see. The work that you do, Mark, whatever work you do, whatever you choose to do, will be work that heals more than you will ever know." And what a really nice thing to say. Really nice thing to say. Why am I doing this video? Because I want to give back things that I have learned over my journey over the last 3.5 years. And one of the things is forgiveness. And it's something that is really passionate to me. And the whole process of forgiveness and what it actually does for us as people. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reading out of this book. This is something, my own book that I put together myself. And that's the book there. So I'm going to be reading out of that. And I'm going to turn this around so you might be able to actually see the book as I am reading the book. Yeah, you got it there? Yeah, okay. So, first page on this one. Hope is a happiness held deep within your heart. When happiness seems to be gone, hope is the quiet encouragement encouraging you to go on and never give up. Hope is a light that shines bright in the dark, in the place where miracles start. Everything comes to you in life in its own good time as long as there is hope. Hope in your heart. I'm going to go on to the next page. The world around you is beautiful only when the world inside you is beautiful. I used to believe at some point in time that all of the people who ever did harm to me would at some point at least say sorry to me, and at best through the rest of their life, go through the rest of life feeling like they were in hell, being whipped by the damned day in, day out, over and over again. I wanted things to be so much worse for them, and this longing for them to feel what I was feeling, only worse, but was making my life impossible to live any resemblance of a happy, joyous and free life. Was I happy, joyous and free? No, I was none of those things. I kept on wanting for someone or something to catch up with them and really hurt them, so they would know what they did to me. The longer this went on, my life was getting worse, and nothing was happening to these people at all. They appeared to be enjoying life without a notion for me. It might sound as though I was full of malice and seriously wanted to do them harm. I came to realize that wanting something to happen to them, that in itself was a form of revenge. The bitterness, the anger, the guilt that I was holding on to was really stinging, and emotionally, mentally and spiritually. And these people were not paying me to go through all of this. Gradually, I began to let go of those feelings towards these other people, especially since I realized that I was not getting paid by the offenders, and they probably had no idea I was feeling the way that I was feeling because I had never told them I was feeling that way. For every painful action or word that I had ever had, that had ever had an impact on me and wounded me, I made a decision to forgive. The decision was not easy, and I was so used to talking and telling my story. And then one day I made a decision to tell a different story. The journey from resentment to forgiveness is not a leap, but a series of deliberate steps, each one moving you closer to your inner peace and freedom. And the first step for me in the process of forgiveness is clarity. You're going to need to put on glasses here. Yeah. Clarity involves creating a space within yourself so you can experience your emotions without judgment. It's about finding a peaceful inner sanctuary from which you can express how you feel in a manner that enables you to feel safe, minded, guided, that's constructive rather than deconstructive. This clarity is the foundation upon the building blocks of your inner understanding, compassion, empathy, and love. These are your 4 pillars towards your healing. Understanding requires us to step outside of our own experience and view the situation from someone else's perspective. It's about empathy, about realizing that just as you are the protagonist of your own story, so too are the other people, the protagonists of their story. And as we go through this, you'll begin to see yourself as a human being, and you will begin to see those people who have offended you, wronged you, hurt you in any way. You begin to see them as human beings. This step challenges us to see beyond our pain and begin seeing the humanity in those who have wronged us and our own humanity. It is a truly profound shift in our perspective, and through doing this, we shall start the process of shifting from resentment into compassion, from anger into empathy. Through this understanding, you bridge the gap between isolation to connection, between hurt and healing. Forgiveness, the culmination of this journey, at times is misunderstood as giving somebody a free pass. Forgiveness is not a gift for them. Forgiveness is the gift that you give yourself. Forgiveness does not mean condoning wrongdoing or forgetting the hurt. We are releasing our emotional attachment to the hurt and pain. It means releasing yourself from the grip of these negative emotions that enslave you to the past. It's about choosing to no longer allow the past hurts to dictate your present state of being and steal your love and your joy. Choose to see beyond the pain. Choose to see beyond hurt. Choose to see beyond the injustice. Choose to understand the complex dance of emotions within you and to produce loving, kind, caring, compassionate, empathetic emotions. The journey to forgiveness is challenging like any other journey, but this journey brings with it many rewards, and the main reward being your freedom and bringing you home to your heart. That is pure love, a love that is connected to everyone and everything, because that's what it is. We are all connected to everyone and everything. We just lose our connection. The journey, the road, the path to peace, love, and forgiveness is yours to take, and it begins with taking that first courageous step. You are at the crossroads in your life where the road already traveled has been paved with resentments and sadness and hurt and shame and guilt. But the other road leads to forgiveness and your freedom, and you have carried the weight of that anger and all those resentments, all that sadness, that shame, that guilt for far too long. But today, hopefully, you will let yourself off the hook and understand that you are a beautiful soul that has been cocooning for far, far too long. This is your moment to transform from that caterpillar on the ground into the beautiful, colourful butterfly that you were always meant to become. Embrace the strength within you, the heart that says, I can move beyond this. This is your life to live, and it is so, so precious. You are a shining light in the darkness for so, so many other people to see. Forgiveness is the beginning of your journey to self-love and self-acceptance. By forgiving, you free yourself from the chains of bitterness, and you begin to open your heart to yourself and to the world. You came into this world with one heart. Nourish it and protect it. Choosing not to take revenge is one of the strongest and most empowering decisions that you can make. It takes real courage to let go of the anger and the hurt and practice forgiveness instead. Remember, holding on to resentments and plotting revenge only keeps you chained to the pain, while forgiveness and letting go with love, kindness, and compassion gives you the freedom to move forward with your life with peace and contentment of mind and spirit. Not by seeking revenge, you are not just sparing yourself more negativity, you are showing strength, compassion, love, and empathy. So focus on your growth, your happiness, your joy, and your future. And the best way to transcend any wrongdoing to you is to forgive from your heart and not your head. And live your life well with love, kindness, empathy, and above all, compassion. And one of the things that I've learned in life is that hurt people cannot hurt people because they're already hurt. Hurt people will seek out people who are good, well, and of a sound mind. So think about that. Imagine a world with no forgiveness. Imagine a world with no forgiveness. And that's definitely a place that I wouldn't want to live. And we're all human beings doing the best that we possibly can with the tools and the knowledge that we have at that particular time. The tools and the knowledge that you have been given or learned today. That's the best that you can do today. And moving on with forgiveness, I had to look it up in the dictionary, really, and it says the action or process of forgiving or being forgiven. And traditionally, any work of the heart began and begins with forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is the necessary ground for real healing to begin. First, we need a wise understanding of forgiveness. Then we can learn how it is practiced, how we may forgive both ourselves and others, and ask others to forgive us. So, forgiveness is letting go of the past suffering, betrayal. It's a release of the burden of pain and hate that we carry in here. And forgiveness, it honors the heart's greatest dignity. When we get lost, and we will get lost from time to time, listening to your heart will always bring you home. Whenever we forgive, even in the smallest ways, at home or in great ways between nations, we free ourselves from the past hurt and the pain that we are holding onto in the present moment. With forgiveness in our heart and our soul, we become unwilling to attack or seek revenge. We let it go. Without forgiveness, where would we be? What would the world look like? It doesn't matter where you have been, what you have been through. It doesn't matter who you met. Each and every one of us are going through something. Your best friend, the person that you know the most, is probably going through something that you have no idea about. We're all going through something that we want nobody to know about, and we keep it all so close to our chest, and we tuck it up in our heart. We feel that no one will ever truly know or truly understand what we are going through in the way that we are going through it. Each and every day, we all get to choose the life that we are going to live and the life that we want to live. But not many of us actually know this or are aware of this. Most of us go around life, I believe, on a hamster wheel from one day to the next, completely oblivious to what is going on around us. And that's just called life. No matter how we go through life, there will always be people that hurt us and who we hurt, either intentionally or not. We all get hurt because we are human beings and we have feelings, we have emotions, and above all, we are fragile and we are fallible and easily hurt emotionally. When you learn to forgive, your heart truly opens. Imagine being sent to prison for doing something that you have done and truly holding on to a grudge against the prison guard for doing the job that he's paid to do. Imagine holding on to that. That's holding yourself in a whole different prison for your mind and your soul for the rest of your life. That's a prison for a whole different place outside of the prison. And being a prisoner of your mind is something that will follow you forever. But holding on to that grudge, will it serve you well for the rest of your life? Doing that is like dragging a bag of coal around with you constantly over your shoulder. And the weight of it, it's so tremendous. And the toll it takes on your body is massive. We all go through stuff as children. Some of us, things that we would never wish on another human being and things that we would never do to anyone else. And most of these things were inflicted upon us by our parents, not really knowing what they were doing, to be honest. They just didn't know any different at the time. And I was doing a bit of thinking through all of this, through my act of forgiveness and exploring forgiveness. And one of the things that I learned is that my parents were doing the best that they could possibly do, given the tools and the knowledge that they had at that time. And I was born in 1976. And my dad and my mother, they were in their very, very early 20s, 21, 22, 23, something like that. Mum was 21, dad was 23. And they brought myself, my brother and my sister up again with the tools and the knowledge that they had. Now, where did they get those tools from and the knowledge from? They got them from their parents. And if you think about the age of their parents, that's a whole previous generation. And I used to think that my mum and dad knew nothing about bringing up children. And if that is the case, the previous generation knew even less. So how my mum and dad made it through being in any way sane is beyond me. We're blessed that we live in an age now where we have so much information. We have counsellors, we have psychiatrists, we have psychotherapists, we have life coaches, we have all this information at our disposal at any given minute. My mum and dad didn't have that, but yet I still held them accountable for years and years and years. When I mean years and years and years, 40 years, I held them accountable for being bad parents. So, take my own life, for example. I heard something said about me when I was about 5 years old that wasn't nice, and I internalized what I had heard, and I heard it from my parents. And I'd spent the best part of 40 years believing that I was not enough. And this had massive negative impacts on my life in all aspects, employment, relationships, but most of all, how I felt about me. And I held on to that anger, that sadness, that hurt for the best part of those 40 years. Actually, it was longer. And all the while, I could have been making myself physically sick. I was blessed that I didn't get physically sick, but I could have been. It was either keep on feeling the way that I was feeling, or go and find something that would allow me to let go of the way I was feeling. And a very nice and spiritual person entered my life and taught me about the process and the power of forgiveness. And what I'm doing is, here I am giving back everything that was taught to me with my own experience added in. When we are in a state of forgiveness and holding on to that resentment, that hurt, that betrayal, that anger, we are missing out on the beauty and the wonders that the world has to offer. We really are. Even those in the worst of situations, and I've seen so many people in really, really bad situations, and even the conflicts around the world, the tragedies, have had to find a path in their heart that led its way to forgiveness. And this is true. It's true all over the world. It's the only way to truly heal a perceived betrayal and any wrongdoing. And sometimes this means finding ways to forgive the perceived unforgivable, to consciously release the hurt, our heart, from the clutches of another terrible act or deed. And people all over the world are forgiving each other all of the time on a daily basis. And if we don't forgive, what's the alternative? Holding on to the hurt, holding on to the pain. And what's the opposite? The opposite is love and kindness. When you are in a state of love, there is no room for resentments. And so many of us drift so far away from love that we cannot see the path back to love. And the surest way back to love is through the process of forgiving yourself, forgiving others, and asking for forgiveness from others. And for me, it all starts with a wholeheartedly process of forgiving myself. And when it comes to forgiveness, the greatest sentence that I have ever heard are these: forgive them, for they know not what they do. And the part of that I found profound in all of that was, they know not what they do. For as long as I had, really contemplate that, the majority of people do not go out of their way to actually hurt anybody in any way whatsoever. They simply have no idea of what they are actually doing. They really, really don't. So then there is the other part of what we've done to others. And if you can think about this again, each and every one of us are going through some sort of emotional, mental, spiritual, or physical trauma. And so are you who's reading this. You're going through something, or listening to this. You're not perfect, and neither is anyone else. And we will all make mistakes. For as long as we are alive, we will always make mistakes. And the beauty is, we always have an opportunity to learn from those mistakes. You're never going to get everything right all of the time, and neither is anyone else. Always forgive. When you come to realize in life that everyone makes mistakes, and especially you begin to look at yourself and the world in a whole different light. Forgiving someone doesn't mean that you have forgotten what has happened. It's the process of letting go of your emotional attachment to what has happened in the past. You are making a conscious effort to let go of the emotion that you have associated with the experience and move on from it. And the way I look at it, forgiveness, I look at it as a triangle. You've got you up here, them down here, and on this side over here is where you ask them to forgive you. It's a three-way process when it comes to forgiveness, and each one is highly important. You may never forget what has really happened, but you can let go of your emotional attachment to it. And anything that you are emotionally attached to has power over you, and it always will. When we make the decision to take the journey of forgiveness, we immediately start making things light on ourselves, and we begin to let in the light. You are going to feel today exactly what you felt yesterday unless you do something about it. Forgive. Forgiving yourself. Finding a way to extend forgiveness to ourselves is one of the most essential tasks that I had to do. And it really is. It's essential to forgiving yourself. And just as others have been caught in their own suffering, so too have we. If we look honestly at our life, we can see sorrow and pain that have led to our own wrongdoing. In this, we can finally extend forgiveness to ourselves. We can hold the pain we caused ourselves in compassion. Without such mercy, we will be left in our own exile. The pains of our past cannot be released until we begin touching them with the healing power of forgiveness. The experiences of our childhood are not just distant memories. They are deeply embedded in the very being, our very being, residing openly within our bodies. We might try to bury or repress these truths, but they'll remain unaltered, woven into the very fabric of who we are. While our intellect can be deceived with the false information, or our emotions manipulated by other people, and our understanding clouded by confusion, the truth within our bodies is steadfast. We can do our best to silence this truth through distraction. For me, I did. My distraction was alcohol, but our bodies are as incorruptible as a child with unbroken spirit. This inner child, untouched by compromise or excuses, will continue to signal that something is unresolved. It will persist its torment, manifesting as physical and emotional distress until we finally stop running from the truth. Only by truly acknowledging and confronting the reality of our past can we find peace and healing. Within each and every one of us, there is a heart full of love that longs to forgive. Remember this, everyone, including you, everyone is so much better than the worst they have ever done. We can help one another build temples of forgiveness instead of prisons, not out of bricks and mortar, but in the abundance of our hearts. No matter how extreme the circumstance is, a transformation of your heart is possible. Let's really talk about forgiveness. You can never be free of bitterness as long as you continue to think angry and resentful thoughts. Thoughts or bitterness cannot create joy, no matter how justified you feel that you are, no matter what they did. If you insist on holding on to the past, then you will never be free. Forgiveness of yourself, of others, and being asked to be forgiven will release you from the prison of the past. When you feel that you are truly asking for forgiveness and truly forgiving yourself, things begin to change. When you do not flow freely with light in the present moment, it usually means you are still holding on to some past things that you really need to forgive. It can be regret, sadness, hurt, fear, guilt, blame, anger, resentment, and sometimes a desire for revenge. Each one of these that we hold onto is taking us away from being in the present moment. And the present moment that's all we have. We've nothing else. We've just got today. And the longer that we spend our time thinking about what somebody else did to us from way back when. It really takes us away from all the love, joy, kindness, compassion, and empathy that's out there for us. And we can spend, or we can make a conscious decision to spend the rest of our lives telling the same old story. And I know I used to do that. I used to tell, my life is the way that it is because such and such a thing happened to me, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And we can practice thinking thoughts of negativity, or we can practice thinking thoughts of positivity. And from the moment that you wake in the morning, know that you're creating thinking habits that will last with you forever. And these thinking habits can either be positive ones or negative ones. Thoughts of love, harm. We all have a choice on how we think and how we act and how we behave. So there is a process of forgiving that I did, anyway, that I used to forgive myself. And this is it. And I had to speak these out loud. And there are many ways that I have hurt and harmed myself over the years, just as I have caused suffering to others. I've betrayed and abandoned myself over and over again through my thoughts, my words, and through my actions, both intentionally and unintentionally. What I did not know at the time was that in so many ways I was emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically unwell. For the ways that I have hurt myself through my actions or lack of action, out of fear, out of pain, and my confusion, I now wholeheartedly, fully forgive myself. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. Next. Wow, that was emotional to do that again. Forgiving others is a process for that as well. You can say this out loud. You don't have to say it to them. They don't even know that you're forgiving them. You're not doing it for them. You're doing this for you. So you can get on and live your life in peace, contentment, joy, freedom. There are many ways in my life that I've been hurt emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically, intentionally or unintentionally. We are all human beings doing the best that we can possibly do with the tools and the knowledge that we have been blessed with. And I have made so many mistakes in my past, and so have other people. From this moment on, I wholeheartedly do forgive you for all the wrongs that you have done to me. I forgive all those people. I pray that all those people will one day get to forgive themselves, and they will go on to forgive other people. I forgive you. I forgive you. And then there's the process for me of asking other people for forgiveness in knowing what I had done to them, either intentionally or unintentionally. And any time that I asked for anyone's forgiveness, it was always done wholeheartedly, in the knowledge that I wasn't well at the time. I wasn't well emotionally, mentally, spiritually, or physically. I will wholeheartedly apologize. I'll empathize with them in going and saying that if that had happened to me, had somebody done to me what I did to you, I would have felt exactly the same way. But it needs to come from your heart, not your mind. If it comes from the heart, your heart will reach their heart, and you will be forgiven. So that's basically it. And once you get past that, hopefully you live a life full of compassion, empathy, and kindness.